Good morning, operators. Stand by. Stand by. Coffee's hot, frequency's alive. 145.430. You listening to the morning hum? This is the Coffee Break Net. Steam rising but the sunrise glows. Signals bouncing nice and low. Foothill light and silicon sky. Morning check-ins rolling by. Call sign ready, mic in hand. Voices drifting through the band. RF dancing in the air. Someone's mobile somewhere out there. Heat up, drop your sign. One at a time, you're sounding fine. Sip soda, don't rush the day. Net control will lead the way. Coffee on the console, radio's awake. Morning on the machine, give and take. Voices in the speaker, smooth and clean. So like riding on the beam. Checking out, don't hesitate. This is how we caffeinate. From the hills to the bay. W6EK Kilo starts the day. Check in. AllStarLink been feeling strong. Echolink brings friends along. Mobile bass or handheld tight. Everyone's sounding right. Morning traffic rolling through. Signal reports 5x2. Laughing in between the keys. Coffee cup and beeper R's. Mic drop, carry a tone. You're never really alone. One more round, take your place. Good vibes on the interface. Coffee on the console. Radio's awake. Morning on the machine. Give and take. Voices in the speaker. Smooth and clean. Sunlight riding on the beam. Check it out. Don't hesitate. This is how we caffeinate. Morning voices, RF stream. Coffee break, live on the machine. Good morning, operators. Stand by. Coffee's hot. Frequency's alive. Good morning, operators. Stand by. Good morning. Voices. Stand by. Stand by. Good morning, operators. Stand by. Stand by. Good morning, operators. Stand by. Stand by.
Good morning, and welcome to the Coffee Break Net on the W6EK Repeater, located in Auburn, California. The Coffee Break Net, where the sun is always shining, the birds are singing, and the fish are jumping. This net is sponsored by the Sierra Foothills Amateur Radio Club in Northern California. And we're here every day of the week from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Please welcome your net control host and conversation facilitator, Brian, AI6US, checking in from beautiful Meadow Vista, California. Let's get the Coffee Break Net underway because it's a great way to start our day. Good morning, everyone.
What a great way to start our Monday morning. Good morning, everyone. It is the 16th of March. My gosh, where is the year flying by? March 16th, 2026, and welcome. Let's go ahead and get the Coffee Break Net underway. As soon as I get rid of this magician who is casting all sorts of spells on me this morning. Let's see, today is Monday, and the days of the year are national days. Today is the Freedom of Information Day. Today is No Selfies Day. So imagine a world without selfies. Today is National Artichoke Day. So maybe grab yourself an artichoke and maybe tell me how you like to prepare an artichoke. I know a lot of people have different ways. I grew up with the pulling the individual leaves off and dipping them in mayonnaise, and before using your teeth to peel off the meat from each leaf until you got down to that delicious center. Today is National Artichoke Day. Good morning. Let's go ahead and get the morning underway with quick in and out check-ins. Quick in and out check-ins are for those who don't have much time to spend with us, but just want to say a quick hello. Let's keep our quick check-ins to under 2 minutes, please. And we're going to start out with check-ins from Northern California. If you're coming in through RF, or maybe you're coming in through one of the nodes or connected repeaters, if you are in Northern California, let's take your check-ins first, and then we'll spread out to the rest of the country and world. Good morning. Welcome to the Coffee Break Net. Taking check-ins.
November 6th, Charlie Kilo Victor.
First Lady with Kilo Bravo 6, Sierra November.
Okay, at 6 WQ, 20 Brad.
Kilo Delta 6, Charlie Delta, Quebec, Ricker North Island.
KB6ED.
All right, good morning, Ed, KB6ED, and good morning to Rick, KD6CDQ. Good morning, Dan, KN6WQU, and good morning to Tom, KB6SSN, and good morning to Carl, N6CKV. Did I miss anyone else who was trying to check in from Northern Cal?
Kilo Oscar 6, Indy Hotel Juliet, Tom stepped on me.
All right, Larry, good morning, KO6IHJ. Now let's see who is checking in from across the country or the world. Welcome to the Coffee Break Net. These are quick in and outs. Anyone coming in through the internet this morning?
Good morning. KC8 Fox Queen Vector. KC8 FQV.
Pardon me, frog in the throat. KF6OJE, Spokane. KJ5 Golf Whiskey November. Good morning.
KC6 SLE.
Kilo Ocean 6, Mike India, stroke AE.
Kilo Delta 5, Mike Echo Romeo, Houston, in and out.
All right, all of you are in and out this morning, so Houston will be back to you in a moment. KD5MER got you down. Good morning to Jeff, KO6MME, stroke E. Wow, we have something to celebrate in a moment there, Jeff. And KC6SLE, good morning, Graydon. And good morning to Will, KJ5 Golf Whiskey November. Good morning to Ray, KF6OJE, and good morning to Mark, KC8FQV. All right, up to the top of the list. Let's respect other people's time and keep our check-in short for the quick in and outs. Good morning, Carl, N6CKV. Happy Monday.
Good morning, Brian, and everyone else out there. Well, happy Monday back to you. Yeah, you eat the artichokes the same way I did as a kid. I haven't had any recently. Used to go to, I think, Watsonville, and you could see fields of artichokes down there. Other than that, we already did our Walmart run today. They open at 6, so I was there when they opened. And we'll just give it back to you, Brian.
You know, and then I mentioned to some people, oh yeah, dip it in mayo, and they are just so disgusted by it. And I go, that's the only way I knew it until later in life. Well, that was certainly early morning for you and Ruth, and now that you have that run out of the way, I guess it's time to relax and enjoy the rest of the day. Yeah, Watsonville, I've seen those fields, and that is definitely a impressive sight to be seen. N6EKV, good morning to you, good morning to Ruth, and have a wonderful Monday.
Okay, Brian, thanks for running the net. Everyone have a good Monday. This is N6CKV. I'm going to say 73 and idle in.
She was so disappointed she went to work today. I will let her know. Have a wonderful day, Carl. Good morning, Tom, KB6SSN.
Well, good morning, Brian in the net. KB6SSN, Tom here. Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning. I hear it's going to be in the low 80s today. Oh, my goodness, I might get to try out the air conditioner for the first time this season. I'm not acclimated to 80 degrees yet, but we'll do our best. And you mentioned artichokes, only topic brought up this morning. My favorite thing to do with an artichoke is to give it to someone who likes artichokes. Not a fan. Somewhere on my list of don't eat is thistles. And we'll just leave it at that. And we did discover recently, you know, all watt meters are not created the same. There's a video coming up on that, KB6SSN73.
All right, give us a hint. Is it the way they measure or their longevity?
At this point, it's the way they measure. We don't seem to have any problems with longevity. We've pulled watt meters out that are 50, 60 years old, and they work just fine. We've got a Drake watt meter, 150 watt meter that was an original matching unit to the 4 line, and it works beautifully. And it's got to be 60, 65 years old, and it's just fine. We have an array of meters that seem to work very accurately from 0 to 30 megahertz, but they are labeled that they work up to 200. One of them goes up to 525 megahertz, but they don't necessarily track. One will show 160 watts, one will show 210. The same exact exciter, same exact output. 160 watts, 150 watts, 210 watts. And we finally figured out that we had two that matched, and that was the Daiwa and a digital meter that we had. And I remember looking at that and said, okay, those two are probably right because everything else is off. So we're using those two now, but that'll give you a teaser. KB6SSN.
Yeah, very interesting. Absolutely. I've known that not all meters are the same, and of course, a lot of it is, if you're measuring dampened, peak and that sort of thing. But it sounds like it was a modulated set carrier. Interesting. And thanks for sharing that. We'll look forward to taking a look at that video. KB6SSN, AI6US. Good morning, Dan. KN6WQU. And great to see you at the club meeting Friday evening, you and Zane. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian and Net. This is KN6WQ here. Yep, just getting gas this morning. I got a couple people coming over this morning to help me out today during work. We got 3 engine jobs here in the next 2 days, so definitely need a lot of help. So we're trying to get 3 done. It's going to be a lot for me, but I'm sure we'll get it figured out. I got a couple, 2 guys that I usually use a lot that I've trained pretty well that kind of know what they're doing. So hopefully we can get it cleared out. 3 engine jobs. I mean, the first one's going to like not even an engine, like more like a go-kart from the Chevy Spark, and then the rest are, I guess you can call them engines. But anyway, that's all I got. This is KN6WQ. Hopefully I'm not going to burn today.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Our temperatures I saw yesterday was, about 15 plus degrees over normal. And I think we tied a record yesterday for heat for the season. So that does not bode well going into summer with all the tall grasses and everything we have here. So let's hope that this is not a prequel to a hot summer ahead. Have a wonderful day, Dan. Thanks for checking in. KN6WQ AI6US 73.
KN6WQ, I'm clear. Thanks for running there, Brian. Everybody have a great day.
Glad you stopped by, and good luck with all of that work. Hopefully that means more money in your pocket. Good morning, Rick. KD6CDQ. Happy Monday.
Good morning, Brian and Annette. This is CD6CDQ, Rick in beautiful downtown suburban North Highlands. Yeah, I got a few plans for today. One of them is the dreaded tax doing. Got to go online and get that stuff going. But I've also got everything ready for my favorite day of the year, March 17th. And I am part Irish and English and Scottish and German. Touch of Spanish in there too, and also found out I happen to have a touch of Polish. Didn't know that, but my sister found it out by going through Ancestry. Anyways, I'm all set and ready to do my thing with the corned beef and cabbage. Got all the stuff I need, including a nice, beautiful brisket and a 6-pack of Guinness beer. So I'm going to be in hog heaven tomorrow.
You are prepping for the day, aren't you? Sounds good. Well, tax day, it sounds like you have a good recovery plan for that. Just one thing to point out, maybe your sister has some Irish, but do you?
Absolutely. What I don't have is my sister's a half-sister, and she's got Italian in her. So I got 3 sisters, all halves, and they're all Italian. And my dad, bless his heart, I loved him, Italian and all. Partially why I got so into eating Italian food.
Unless it is tomorrow. Corned beef and cabbage sounds great. I'm going to have to check to see if Lynn has some purchased. I didn't notice if she did. We usually do get some going in the slow cooker early in the morning. Rick, have a wonderful day. Happy Monday if that's possible. KD6CDQ, AI6US. No selfies today, okay?
73s, Brian, in the net, and yeah, no selfies anyways. My selfies app doesn't work on my phone.
You know, before we had phones with reversible cameras, what did we do? We had beautiful scenics of all the places we visited without our ugly mugs in them. Have a great day, Rick. Clearing with KD6CDQ. And good morning to Ed. Sorry I grouped you in ugly mugs there, Ed. KB6ED. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian in the net. Well, if I could take a selfie right now, it would be an ugly mug. I haven't even combed my hair yet. But I got to agree with you. If I could talk conspiracy theories on the net here, I'd dive into this time thing. Something's going on with the time. It can't be March already. What's going on? But let's talk about artichokes instead. My pot holds 4, so the preparation is a little steamer tray in the bottom, but I have to set a timer for 20 minutes because the water runs out, and I don't like to bathe the bottom of the artichokes in the water, so I only fill it up so full, get the steam going, and so that's the prep. And the thing that I found out recently that I really like to do, because I like the Best Food Smale, and I like a healthy dash of cayenne pepper over the top of it before I start dipping. But what I've done is I take a whole big load of garlic, like a whole bulb, and I clean off the papers, but not the little jackets around each clove. I leave those on and toss them in the steamer, and they steam up and they mellow out in flavor, and you can give them a little pinch and they just ooze out. So I squeeze that into the mayonnaise, mix it up really well, add that dash of cayenne, and I'm good to go.
A very interesting twist on the mayo dip there. Garlic and some cayenne for a little kick in the butt. Cool. Thank you, Ed. So the 4 artichoke limit. I guess that's fine if it's only you sitting down at the table, right? Good morning to you. Happy Monday.
Yeah, I can eat 2 of them, and there's either 2 to share or 2 for the next sitting. And I don't mind them cold out of the fridge, but anyway, 20 minutes, runs out of steam, have to set a timer, and then I put another load of pre-boiled water from my kettle in and go another 25 minutes, and that seems to be the perfect timing. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. Going to get out and get to it after this cup of coffee, and I'm going to continue to enjoy the net. Thanks for running it, KB6ED73.
Well, a great way to start the day. Enjoy your coffee, and we'll try to make the conversations here on the net enjoyable for you as well. Good day, Ed. Clearing with KB6ED. Let's check in now with Larry, KO6IHJ. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Coffee Break Net, KO6IHJ. Artichokes. Oh, I love me some artichokes. Now, I have a couple ways to prepare these. One, big old pot, the stranded bottom, a little bit of water, let it steam. Or, what I like, and it's a little bit more preparation, and you got to think about it, I use the crock pot. Do your meal and everything in a crock pot, about, you know it's going to come out another hour or so. Put some artichokes in there. I got a big crock pot, by the way. Put a couple artichokes in there and let it go through and get all that goodness in there, and yeah, mayonnaise dip, and give me an artichoke.
I am really surprised, that so many of you guys like it dipped in mayo. It seems like when I mentioned it to some of my friends in the past, they kind of looked at me. They said, no, we just dip it in melted butter or run it across the top of a butter cube. And I thought, that kind of sounds boring. Anything else go in the crock pot with those artichokes?
Well, the meal's there, and usually it's the pot roast or something. It's on the side. Like I said, this crock pot is huge. It clamps down. It's almost like a pressure cooker. Got a little vent hole on top. It's got enough room for a couple artichokes. You can do the same thing with asparagus right on top. And boy, them artichokes. And yeah, the mayonnaise, good old fast foods mayonnaise, but you got to put a little dash, maybe a little bit of hot sauce, a little bit of something in there, give it that little bit of flavor, then mixed up and then dip. Okay, I'm hungry for artichokes. I'm going to town a day later for some toilet paper and some coffee. And guess what? I'm going to get some artichokes.
Hey, very good. Well, you know, we talk about these things, and usually they show a spike in national buying habits after we talk about these things on the Coffee Break Net. All right, I think your crock pot that you're referring to might be an Instant Pot. Instapot, that's definitely has a place on our counter. Larry, happy Monday to you, and sounds like we have an interesting meter video coming out soon. KO6IHJ, AI6US73.
Yes, sir. Meters in the... Ooh, look at it. Works right there on this. Meters in the works. I'll get the video up. KO6IHJ73. Everybody have a blessed day. Be careful out there.
All right. Have a great day ahead. Hey, let's check in now with Mark, KC8FQV. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, KCFQA. Well, I looked, it was 54 when I looked earlier. Yeah, just taking a look at Facebook stuff. Yeah, 75 was the high yesterday. It was really something. So, and 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night, it was 68 still. So, but yeah, not much else here happening. Just wanted to stop in and say hello. And yeah, the meeting was good Friday night. Even though we lost our power Friday night, it flashed. The power came back. I mean, the power went out. It was like they were switching a line, and that was about what it was like. But the cable went out, and it was out until Saturday morning, somewhere between 7 and 8. So I was on LTE. G5 don't work as well here, so I sort of try to force it to stay in LTE or level G4. But the phone was getting warm too. But it looked good. The meeting did. So we'll send it back to Net Control, KCFQV.
Well, thanks for dropping in on our hybrid club meeting. Yeah, it might not have been the most interesting meeting for you, as mostly what we talked about was the planning for the upcoming Ham Fest. And if you're not going to attend, it's maybe a little frustrating to see all the prizes that will be awarded, knowing you're not going to be there. Yeah, quite interesting. I used to work for a cable company, and quite often those line amplifiers would not automatically come back online if you had a fluctuating power return where it wasn't a clean return of power. It would kind of maybe, arky-sparky as they hooked it back up, and it would often cause those units to default offline. So bummer. Sorry to hear that you had to deal with that for a bit. Good morning, Mark. You have a wonderful day ahead. Happy Monday. KC8FQV, AI6US73.
Well, the thing I would say, we were on fiber now. Once they went to fiber, we don't have much problem. But one place, a power supply went out in the middle of Twinsburg, and that west of us, they would knock all the Aurora out. And you would see the phones light up. I wasn't on that side, but yeah, when the power supply went out on the old Cascade system, Cascade ain't used much anymore, I don't think so. Yep, 73s.
Yep, got to keep that fiber lit. Absolutely. Have a great day, Mark. Clearing with KC8FQV. And good morning, Ray, KF60JE. Good to hear you on again this week. What do you have for the net?
Good morning, Brian in the net. This is the crazy Italian. It's not Italian. Italian. I'm gonna go into All-Star and change my location to Auburn, so I can get in the first group, so I'm not late for my other morning group. So when I key up, it'll say Auburn, California. And well, it's been 1 year since my surgery. Coming along slowly, and the first year is the crucial part. And selfie day. About 6 months ago, they had on the news a guy was on a lookout at the Grand Canyon, standing on the edge, doing a selfie, and leaned backwards and fell 700 feet and didn't make it. A camera on a stick, I guess I'm old. All I remember is you took your girlfriend in the 25-cent photo booth outside a thrifty drugstore and put in a quarter and do a little smooching photos. And real quick, my friends after my surgery asked me to send a photo. I had to try to do a selfie with the phone right in front of my face. It didn't come out like I planned it. Selfies in my day was like Disneyland. Hey, buddy, if I give you my camera, can you take a picture of me? This is KF6OJ, the crazy Italian. Moving to Auburn. 73.
The crazy Italian. All right, yes, the photo booths. Those were always fun, and yeah, I recall a few film strips of smooching photos myself. Well, proof that taking a selfie on the edge of Grand Canyon, Darwin is still alive and doing well, though that guy is not. Have a great day, Ray. KF6OJE, AI6US, 73. Let's head on down to Oklahoma City, KJ5GWN. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Brian. The weather story here, it's been windy all weekend. We had winds in excess of 60 miles an hour yesterday here in Oklahoma City. Knocked out power to several locations. Mine was not among the ones that were knocked out, so we survived it here. Parts south of us didn't turn out so lucky. They closed down Interstate 35 for 12 hours yesterday because power lines were draped across the southern part of the highway. So traffic was backed up for several miles yesterday and turned off cold. I think when I got up this morning, it was 25 degrees. Not expected to get very warm today. So anyway, back over to you, Brian. This is KJ5 Golf Whiskey November.
Well, glad that you guys got some precipitation in the past week or so, couple weeks. Because those 60-mile-an-hour winds certainly could have told a different story of the wildfires that you had a few weeks ago there. Well, good morning to you there, Will. Glad to hear that you were not adversely affected, but it sounds like those winds certainly changed a lot of plans for folks over the weekend. KJ5GWN, AI6US, you have a great Monday. Thanks for checking in, 7-3.
Seven threes, Brian, and yes, we did have a few wildfires yesterday. Some big, some not so big, but they were quickly extinguished. So anyway, back over to you, Brian. This is KJ5 Golf Whiskey November. We're clear and listening.
Yeah, we do have some wind-swept wildfires that happen down in the valley, especially, and those can get quite aggressive very fast. We'll have a great day. KJ5 Golf Whiskey November AI 6US. Good morning, Graydon. KC6SLE.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning to the net. We had a busy weekend. We had the birthday party for Lisa's dad, Vince, so we had an Italian birthday party. Oh, we had 30 relatives from Northern California and Oregon. We hosted all the Oregon relatives. We had relatives from Corvallis, Salem, and Eugene. I know you're familiar with all those areas. But we had a fun time with all of them. It was funny. A funny story. I came out and found Lisa's brother in the morning standing in our pantry, looking at the shelves in our pantry. And I said, Mike, what are you doing? And he says, well, I like to look at those pantries. You can tell a lot about people by what they store there.
We don't want to be judgmental of you, but what do you store in your pantry that fascinated Lisa's brother so much?
I think it was just the food, but later on I caught him sneaking a cookie, so I think that's what he was really doing.
Yeah, around our house here, Lynn will go, what are you doing? And I said, I'm grazing. I don't always consume, but I graze a lot. Maybe that's what he was up to. Yeah, we missed you on Friday night, but I'm glad that you had a great family celebration there. Going to be heading up in about 2 months from now to my dad's 95th birthday. We're going to be putting on a get-together and kind of expect the same type of turnout that you had for Lisa's dad there. So, and 5th birthday, these occasions don't roll around that often, so you need to celebrate them. Well, anything else for the net this morning?
Artichokes. I love artichokes. I've always eaten artichokes the same way you have, but listening to Ed this morning, I'm going to quit dipping my artichokes into just boring best food mayonnaise, which I love. And I'm going to spike it up with some chili flakes. I'll spike it up with a little bit of garlic. That sounds really good. Don't know why I've never thought about that before, but yeah, I love artichokes. I like them cold out of the refrigerator, after they're cooked. I like them hot out of the pot. I'm the only one, though, that likes the artichoke heart. So my son always gives me the artichoke heart out of the one he's eaten, and then I have the one out of I've eaten. Now, Lisa doesn't eat artichokes at all. Her family didn't delve into that when she was growing up, so she looks at them kind of strangely. But I love them. Let's see, yesterday we're getting ready for fire season. So yesterday, after everyone left, Lisa and I went out and dropped 4 trees. Got one of them cleaned up. Today I got to go out and clean up in fact, right after I sign off here, I'm going to go out, fire up the chainsaw, wake up the neighbors, and clean up the other 3.
Yep, coming up on fire season again, and I think this year we're going to have to be mighty vigilant on that. But, well, you stay safe out there with the chainsaw and with Lisa. And doesn't like the hearts. I thought that was the piece de resistance that got us to eat all the leaves. Well, I don't know about you, but I also enjoy pickled artichoke hearts, and I could sit down with a fork and a jar off the shelf and enjoy those. Have a great day, Graydon. Good morning to Grady. Good morning to Lisa. KC6SLE, AI 6US.
73, all pickled. I've had marinated. I don't know if that's the same or not, but yeah, I love marinated artichoke hearts. 73, KC6SLE.
Marinated is good as well. Absolutely. Hey, good morning, Jeff. Okay, everyone, you know how we celebrate things around here. Everyone, grab your microphones, and what we're going to do is we are going to be doing a big shout out to Jeff, KO6MMI/AE. Congratulations, Jeff, AI6US. Everybody join in. Way to go.
Way to go, Jeff.
Congrats. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Happy birthday, W6J. Who's up?
Well, Jim, it's not his birthday. He just upgraded to amateur extra. Hey, good morning, Jeff. KO6MMI/AE. Congratulations. Welcome, and to those new privileges.
Thank you very much, Brian. This is KO6MMI/AE. Should be getting my amateur extra reassigned systematic call sign later today at some point. So if you want to say, it is technically my amateur extra birthday today. So I think that would qualify. For the sake of brevity, I'll give you 3 things about me that you can chat on. First, in context about the amateur extra, I was very surprised. I finished up on the 14th with Mr. Jeff Sims, who was the VE that was kind of leading the charge on the 14th with Granite Bay VE team, and gave me the notification showing that I've got all 50 of the 50 questions correct. I was pretty astonished at that, but I'm very proud. My wife says I need to start tuning my own horn a little more. Thing number 2 you can comment on, artichokes. My dad, when I was a very young boy, did literally tell me that artichoke hearts were poison with all earnestness, and that I needed to give mine to him in order for him to dispose of it, which he would then eat later. My mother let him get away with this for years. I found out in my actual adult life, after having so embarrassingly told my then girlfriend, oh no, that's poison, you can't eat that. Funny thing number 3 in regards to today, Irish. My family is mostly Irish, and including my extended family, actually lives, most of my extended family on my father's side lives in Ireland in the county of Galway. My great-great-great-grandfather, John Lyon, came over to America accompanying a pony. My family actually raised ponies along.
Uh-oh. Jeff timed out his system. Let's see if he's back on. KO6MMI got that your family was raising ponies, and then I think you timed out your radio.
Thank you, yes. I tried to keep it under 2 minutes. I guess I was unsuccessful. Thank you for bringing it back. My family raised ponies, and most of them live in Galway County in Ireland. My great-great-great-grandfather accompanied one over at the turn of the century. So the majority of my family lives in Ireland, and that man is the origin of my family in the United States of America. He was one of 12.
Siblings reminds me of a joke. Great-grandpa and grandma, what did you do before you had TV and the internet? I asked my 11 siblings. Well, yes, indeed. You made it through the never questioning why they would sell a poisonous artichoke in the grocery store. But hey, congratulations on the new license privileges. Congratulations on the perfect score. And yeah, that's a great accomplishment that doesn't happen among a lot of people. So that is awesome. But now that the book learning is done, now the real experience begins. So very good. Well, tomorrow you can celebrate your heritage, and hopefully you have some good cookings planned for St. Patty's Day. You have a wonderful day. Back to you for your final there, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you very much, all of you around the net. I appreciate it. Looking forward to chatting with you more under a new nom de plume. Have a great rest of your day out there. I wish you all a wonderful day tomorrow as well from the Irish people all around. And that's it from me. 7-3, clearing and listening. K06 MMI stroke AE.
Woohoo! Once again, congrats on the privileges. Boy, I'm glad they don't dye our river green around here. That's the one that has my head scratching. K06MMI AI6US. Oh, K06MMI/AE. My apologies. Have a great day, Jeff. We'll catch you on one of your new approved frequencies. KD5MER, welcome from Houston. I guess first time check-in. Good morning. Oh my. We will never know who that masked character was until I look him up, and we're going to find out. We're going to go to QRZ and find out who this mystery character was. And QRZ says it's Thomas Stokes from Houston, Texas. So if anybody knows Thomas, tell him good morning. That was KD5MER who disappeared into the darkness. Good morning. Coffee Break Net on the W6EK Repeater. And let's go ahead and take regular check-ins now. If you are short on time, let me know. I will put you at the top of the list as a quick in and out. So good morning, Coffee Break Net, where the sun is always shining, the birds are singing, and the fish are jumping. Happy Monday. Let's take check-ins.
N2 DYI, in and out.
N9MUF.
K6LUV, in and out. Good morning.
N6MMF. And good morning, Brian, WB6BJN, and you can put me at the bottom of the list.
A6PKL, K4LGI, in and out. A6PKL.
All right, somebody's pretty quick with their call. I'm glad you know what your call is because nobody else does. Indian L coming in on Fireside, East Coast Hub. Last station. Full calls, please.
Kilo 6, Papa, Kilo Lima, K6PKL.
K6PKL, good morning to you. And good morning to Sam, K4LGI for in and out. Good morning to Mark, WB6BJN. I'll put you down at the bottom of the list. Thank you very much. And good morning to Matt in 6MMS. Good morning, Brett, KB6LUV. Good morning to Daniel in 9MUF. And good morning to Patrick into DYI. Let's see. I believe there might have been one or two other stations that I missed. Who did I miss?
W6JCZ, mobile in and out, Whiskey 6, Juliet, Charlie, Zulu.
Whiskey 1, Delta Echo Echo, mobile in and out.
All right, I got a Delta Echo Echo. You kind of hit the top of your repeater. We didn't catch your prefix there, but maybe a 7 Delta Echo Echo. Full call.
Whiskey 1, Delta Echo Echo.
That's what I deserve for making an assumption. Whiskey 1, Delta Echo Echo for in and out. And Jim, W6JCZ for in and out. So I have Sam, Jim, and W1DEE for in and outs. Was anybody else in this list a quick in and out?
Hi, I'm Brian, N2 DYI.
All right, we have 4 folks in the list as a quick in and out, so let's visit with them first. Good morning, Patrick, into DYI. Quick in and out. Let's see if we can make it happen. Good morning.
I think we can make it happen. Good morning, Brian. We have some weather going on here. We were under a tornado warning that just expired. There was some rotation about 20 miles to the west of us. I don't know if there were any confirmed. I didn't hear that there were any touchdowns, but that seems to have mostly passed us by. We're, I think, mostly just in for some rain for the rest of the day. Wind is currently gusting at around 20 to 30. So I think maybe we got spared this time. Let's see.
You know, and I must say, because so much of the early warning for tornadoes is being, sighting them in the distance as a unsighted person. I know you have all these technology things to alert you, but do you try, what do you do to be more aware of the imminent danger?
Well, I try not to be in the path. That's about all I can do, really. Watching out for any alerts that come across. I've actually been monitoring a local repeater here, and there were some spotters from that direction that were alerting us all what was going on in over there. So, yeah, it's pretty much what you can do, right? Listen for things, look out for things.
I think at that point I would invite a friend over for coffee or a beer. Yeah, they're sneaky enough as they are until they're right on top of you, sounding like a freight train. Well, Pat, I'm glad to hear that you're safe and that's behind you. And yeah, that was quite a front that passed through. Good morning to you, and yeah, we'll look forward to you and Tom being on the All Nodes Net this evening, and that is 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern here on node 51018 and connected nodes and repeaters. So looking forward to that this evening, Patrick. Good day. Happy Monday, if it's possible.
Same to you, Brian. And yeah, I've just been kind of monitoring the lower half of the broadcast band, listening for lightning strikes. That's I did actually pick up a second radio, put one on the lower half and one on the upper half, stick one on each side of the room, and get a nice stereo effect sometimes when a strike comes across. That's sort of a silly thing I've done since I was a kid. Every now and then it's actually useful. Have a good one. I'll catch you later on the All Nodes Net for those who are interested in anything to do with nodes, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific here, and on the 503680 through 503682 nodes. Into DYI 73.
And the timing of processing on the old transistor radios were pretty much identical between radios. But the other day, something just hit me when I had an SDR radio running and an old analog radio running on the same signal, and the delay was pretty incredible for the processing on the digital to analog, or analog to digital to analog conversion. I was really surprised. A little extra reverb in the room. Have a great day, Patrick.
Yep, I as far as my SDR, I did get my AirSpy delayed down to about 20 milliseconds. That's the best I could do. 7-3, N2 DYI.
Yep, it's going to do its processing, and you can only shorten it up so much. Have a great day there, Patrick. Good to hear from you. And good morning, Sam. Let's head over to Denver, K4 LGI. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, Brian, everybody in net. Just finishing up my coffee, getting ready to head back. Thought I'd check in. About 20-some degrees here. Got up as in the teens and had a light snow. My favorite kind. There's not much slop when it melts. And we get most of our snow here in March, so I guess I pulled a hook up down there on Bouvet's, and I guess they're off the air. Anyway, that's it from here. Brian, have a nice day, K4LGI.
right, Sam. Well, good morning to you. And by the way, a fact you might be interested in that was shared by a member on a group that I'm a part of, Band Hoppers on Facebook. Anyway, he had shared a statistic that only about 10,500 of the contacts made by Bouvet were into North America on all modes. So those of us who at least made a contact, some people made several contacts, it was a real thing. They're just, I think that was less than 10% of all contacts were in North America out of Bouvet. But, crossing the equatorial line and the conditions weren't ideal, and plus I think they had a little shadowing on some of the bands just because of the terrain. So I thought that would be something of interest to you, Sam, why, we may have heard them, but I think there were much stronger signals coming out of different parts of the world that definitely made them more of a priority for getting through. So a little factoid. Good morning. Have a wonderful day, Sam.
Yes, very interesting. A lot of facts very interesting. The Northern Cal DX Club donated $175,000. Very proud of them. See you later, K4LGI.
Wow, that is a great contribution. Absolutely. Well, good morning. You have a great day, Sam. Clearing with K4LGI. Let's check in now with Jim, W6JCZ. Great to see you Friday night, Jim. What do you have for the net today?
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Coffee Break Net, W6JCZ. Good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. Enjoying what's left of winter while we have it. We're going straight into summer. I'm seeing 91, 92 degrees as a high on Thursday and Friday. So, you know what they say? It's not a knob, it's a lever. Do you want winter or do you want summer? Pick one. Not anything else. Click, it goes. W6JCZ.
Yeah, my body was more used to growing up in the Northwest where you had a gradual dimmer to bring up the heat and the lights. and you're right, it is just a hard switch this year. Well, Jim, good morning to you, and I want to thank HRO for their support of the upcoming Hamfest. Some gift certificates were donated, and then I think a couple more purchased, so thank you so much.
Yeah, always glad to help out the local clubs, and really looking forward to Hamfest. Just a little less than 2 weeks away, so yeah, looking forward to getting up nice and bright and early.
Yeah, somebody asked, what time do we get there? And I said, well, some of us get there at 4 a.m., some get there at 5. They said, what? Yeah, Hamfest doesn't set itself up. You have a wonderful day, Jim, and happy Monday. W6JCZ, AI6US.
Yeah, some of my colleagues were asking, the ones that work on Saturday asked, do I have time to make it to Hamfest? And I said, come on, the Hamfest ends at 7 a.m. You all know that. You can leave at around 7:30 and make it to work and no problem. W6JCZ.
Yep, it's quite interesting. The moment the sellers start opening their trucks, their trunks, they're hauling equipment out, people are out there with flashlights at dark 30, going through stuff. You're right, the sales happen a little bit earlier than opening time. And I know that's a pretty busy day for all the people that come into the region. Seem to head over to the candy store after they browse the Hamfest. Have a great day, Jim. Clearing with W6JCZ, and good morning, Whiskey 1, Delta Echo Echo. Good morning.
Thanks for the net. I like to get on and listen once in a while, but I usually can't jump in and talk because I'm at work. To do some BDA radio testing. I work with the public safety radios. And just wanted to check in and say good morning.
Well, good morning. I see you're coming through the KB7 DFP up in Twin Falls. Are you out of Idaho, or are you just coming through their node?
Idaho. I actually live in Twin Falls.
So I hit this. I'm listening to you guys.
Well, excellent. Glad that you dropped by this morning and introduced yourself. Let me get your name in the log. W6EK out of Twin Falls. Appreciate you being here. My name is Brian, and let me get your name in the log as well.
Ms. D, Delta Echo Echo.
You know, I think I remember that now. Very good, D. Well, good morning to you. And, yeah, so your work, does that keep you in a shop, or are you out servicing repeater sites, working on vehicles? What's the details, if you could share?
I'm kind of all over. I get to work on our repeater sites. Mainly I get to program mobile and portable radios and work with the fire marshal on making sure BDAs are functional.
Well, very good. I imagine the club has a little extra activity for you once in a while as well, keeping their systems up and going. Yeah, it seemed to have a very vibrant amateur radio community in the area, and I know one of our past presidents from our club moved up into your area several years ago, Bob, K6UDA, and yeah, we seem to get to know a lot of people in your area. It seems to be a very active area for amateur radio ops.
Seems to be. I've only been a member of the club for 2-3 weeks. Only had my license for a handful of months, so I'm quite enjoying it. And I got to go. Looks like the fire marshal's here to start things going, so 7-3.
Will D, thank you for dropping by, and do drop by again sometime, and we'll catch up with you later. And congratulations. Welcome to a wonderful hobby, and we'll look forward to talking with you again. Clearing with W1DEED up in Twin Falls, Idaho. Good morning. That's all of our in and outs. Let's start working through our regular check-in list now. And up to the top of that list, let's see what Daniel out of Chicago, N9 MUF. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian and the Net. Well, what I have for the Net right now is gray, cloudy skies and an inch of snow on the ground. 24 degrees here.
Boy, what happened to that beautiful weather that you were sitting out in the T-shirt last week operating a POTA? I guess you got warned on this one.
We knew it was coming. At least we're not as bad as Green Bay. Got hit very hard. And, yeah, that'll definitely take out a POTA today.
Or at least add 1 or 2 more layers of clothing. Well, very good. Well, sorry to hear that it was just a false alert for the beginning of spring, but, well, pretty normal, isn't it?
Definitely used to that. At least it's not as bad as one year. I had a Mustang GT at the time, and I would, during the winter, I'd put about 120 pounds of kitty litter in the trunk to give it some rear traction, and we all thought that it was the end of winter. And I put the kitty litter out, and we got hit hard, and I'm coming up one hill on the way back home, and it was one of these cases where if somebody got in front of me or something happened, I knew I was just going to have to put the car in the ditch and walk home.
And did you put it in the ditch and walk home?
Got home successfully, but wound up leaving the next day for business trip in San Jose. And when I got back, got in that GT, drove it to the Jeep dealership and said, give me one of those.
You know, I can think of many cars I've owned in my life that I owned them just because they were fun and cool cars at the time. But they weren't the most, they were not purpose-driven other than myself.
That Blizzard was the final straw. I'd had a great time taking it out to see the family in Montana. It was a lot of fun at the time. The speed limit was reasonable and prudent, and I decided that with a Mustang GT on roads I knew very well, reasonable and prudent for the cruise control was 100 miles an hour. And couldn't quite do that in the Jeep, but when I got to the farm, it was 33 miles of gravel, which I didn't mind driving, except when it rained the next day. And I had to borrow a pickup to get around, and we were talking about maybe having to tow me to the main road using one of the tractors. And that was that got me thinking about a Jeep, and then that blizzard was a tipping point.
I can just hear the neighbor talking to your folks. So, understand that your city kid came to come visit you. Did you get his car towed out of the mud? Yeah, I've been questioned by family members when I would show up in some vehicle that, well, is that suitable for hauling anybody but yourself around in?
And it sure wasn't, but at the time I was the only person that I had to haul around, and it was an absolute lot of fun. A four-door Jeep is definitely one of the cars that I want in the future. But I also thought about it, and it's one of those things where in Chicagoland, if you need the Jeep, you probably don't want to be out on the streets because other people don't know how to handle it and don't understand how four-wheel drive actually works.
Yeah, four-wheel drive is very good at making the go, but not for the stop, that's for sure. Well, good morning to you there, Daniel. 1 inch of snow, and you're wearing your drop back onesie this morning. What do you plan for the rest of the day?
Well, it's going to be a bit of a day of rest like yesterday was. Since I wind up doing studio work on Saturdays, I take Monday off, of course. And so it'll be just getting a bunch of small things done and some good radio. Having fun jumping into some deeper levels of CIV programming for the ICOM and getting a few tweaks set up in FL rigs. So I've got this nice little spat of buttons that I can do the quick switches that I need rather than having to go to the radio and dig in the menus to switch back and forth. Yesterday I got the paddle, got a tweak on it, and so now the paddle and the key are both hooked up to the radio, and I've got two buttons, one that says paddle and one that says key, and I can switch back and forth between them.
Technology just grand. So, feedback a week later. Was your son happy going out with you with CW operation? Going to do that again? What was the feedback?
He absolutely loved it. We talked about him learning CW on the way back. I had two decoders running to help him interpret what was going on, and he was asking me about the CW idiom and was absolutely thrilled to be doing it. So we are definitely going to be doing CW POTUS again.
Yeah, I thought that having a reader along would keep him in the loop, and that's good to hear that sparked his interest. So that's cool. That is very cool. Well, good morning to you there, Daniel. You have a whole week ahead to rest up for today. And any big projects you're working on? Anything in music or radio?
Not really a big project at the moment. I've got to sort out a guitar with the manufacturer. We need to... I took it to an expert on Thursday, and he confirmed exactly what I had figured, but it was good to have that a second opinion. So when we talk to them, we can say, look, we've had multiple people look at this. We know what it needs. So I've got to get that sorted out. And other than that, I'm not sure, to be honest. Finished a lot of stuff up over the last few weeks. And I did an online concert yesterday, and I had a lot of people going, come on, release the dang album. So I maybe need to figure out what I need to do for the second half of the album. in terms of getting back into it. And I'm not sure when that'll happen because, well, we tore the studio apart on Saturday, shipping stuff back due to RMAs.
Sorry to hear that it came down to having to return those items for that service, but let's hope it gets sorted out soon. You know, I was just going to mention to you, I use several of the 4-channel and 8-channel USB switches, controlled switches. You can have them normally open or normally closed, and I just absolutely love them. I just changed over one of my outdoor antenna switches that I'm going to be installing. I'm using this type of switching instead to control for the controller. So it will follow my band selections that I can program in the radio. But have you used any? The ones that I use are made by SaneSmart, one word, SaneSmart, and very inexpensive. I think they're like $25-30 for an 8-channel, probably about less than $20 for the 4-channel ones. But have you put those to use? I just thought, a great way to do switching, without having to do big enclosures and rotary switches and everything that goes with that.
I have not, but at the moment I don't really have a need for it. On the radio side, I've got a single antenna, so I don't see a need for that. Though, if once I get a job and get a little cash flow in, that antenna farm is finally going to come together.
Okay, well, it's not just for antennas. I was thinking about for your CW key switch, you could have just a little tag programmed into your software for your radio that when you go over that, the CVI, I forget what the correct acronym, sorry about that, would trigger a USB chain to select what mode you want to operate in, or just have it right on your laptop. But anyway, they are very cool devices, and yeah, not just for antennas. I use them for even selecting paths for my audio.
Well, I'll have to look into it then. No, what I did is I fired up FL Rig, and so I've got a bunch of buttons sitting there above my UTC clock. And one of them, it says key, the other one says paddle, and then I've got a couple that I use to send some other commands to it. And I'm probably, if I were to do any big project this week, it would be to pull out the CIV manual for the ICOM 7300 and dig into that and decide if I want to do any more programming. I think that's one of the dangerous things is is knowing when to quit automating. While I was listening to the net earlier, I also wrote some expect scripts to deal with some things. And there's good and there's useful, and then as I point out to people, when you're spending more time doing automation than you will to do the actual task, you need to rethink your efforts.
Yeah, but don't you need something to keep you busy so you don't have to do that honey-do list? No, an example of how I use it, I know we've talked before, I use the Elgato Stream Deck. Very nice little USB interface that controls macros and all sorts of things when connected up to your computer or other devices. And so on the Stream Deck, I just have this selection hooked up to one of these USB switches, and I can switch different audio paths just with a single switch. It opens up one relay, closes another with a single button push, and it's just it took me all of 5 minutes, so I didn't waste much life energy.
Well, it sounds like that's something I'm definitely going to have to look into. There's a few lights that we like to turn on when we're recording, and I could see something like that being very handy.
Yep, especially if you have it just synced into your software, so when you hit the record button, maybe it throws out a macro, which sends a USB signal to latch the recording on-air light or something. Very, very useful stuff, and you can pick up a
a 2-channel USB smart relay for like about $6 on eBay, or go with a more reputable one. But I think they're all made in the same factory, or at least they emulate each other quite well. Haven't noticed a difference between the different manufacturers, but I use SaneSmart. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there because I know you don't have enough things to do in your day. Hi.
You know, but sometimes those kind of projects are relaxing, and the don't need to do projects can be a needed mental break from the, oh my God, I've got to get this done project. No, fortunately, I don't have a honey-do list from my wife. I am the one generating it myself. I'm my own worst enemy in that regard.
Well, congratulations. Well, Daniel, good morning to you. Happy Monday. And yes, don't put the snow chains away yet. And I guess keep the motorcycles in the garage today. Hopefully you'll get some better weather soon. But with that, happy Monday.
If you can have a happy Monday, I'll find a way to have it. No plan is a POTA on Friday, so definitely looking forward to that. But set right now, 7-3 to you in the net, Brian, and 9MUF.
All right, Daniel. Clearing within 9 MUF. 1 inch of snow on the ground, and the winter woolies are back out in Chicago. Good morning, Brett. Kind of makes you glad that you're prepping your pool for the summer. KB6L UV. Hopefully you don't have the, I think last year was the year of pool fix-its to get into the season. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian, AI6US. Yep, KB6UV, Brett here. I'm going to say good morning, and you're absolutely correct. Last year was the pool filter problem. Now it just needs to be run and run again and cleaned and run again. Hi. So, yeah, well, let's see. This past weekend was awesome. It was a beautiful weekend. Me and the wife headed down to Winters to help a friend build his zombie apocalypse bug-out house on a truck. Huge vehicle. Crazy town. Tried to play a little radio. Didn't get anything. Didn't hear a darn thing. And just couldn't figure out why. So, let me take a quick break. Got back home, and it was complete user error. Let's just say it's good to label cables. And I'll leave it at that. Other than that, the wife and I got out on Little Red yesterday. Got a little scoot around the neighborhood with some tunes. Absolutely gorgeous. Probably going to do the same thing this afternoon. Let me see, artichokes. I'll tell you the best way to do artichokes is in a pressure cooker. It takes 12 to 15 minutes.
Pressure cooker, or call it an Instapot, whatever. Yeah, those things are game changers for time saving. And, you know, I think in many ways you end up with a better product because you're just not, you know, heating them for such a long period of time. You don't have the cellular breakdown. So, very cool. Out on Red, so you were, I always get a kick out of these big old Harleys or Hondas that come up beside you, and they are sharing their iTunes library with you at high volume. So do you have a big sound system on Little Red?
I do have a big sound system on Little Red. However, I try to be conscientious of, you know, when I'm at lights, I try not to have it up too loud. Don't want to share it with everybody all the time. But yeah, I used to make fun of those folks riding down the streets like, why are you sharing your music with everybody? And now I'm just riding down the street sharing my music with everybody. Hi. I also want to say good morning, Mom. Bonnie in Newton, Kansas. I know she's missing the weather out here in California because, goodness gracious, it's glorious out there today. So I'm going to enjoy the 3 hours and 27 minutes of spring that we're going to have, and then it's on to the hot stuff.
Yeah, unbelievable. I heard down in the valley into the 90s by the end of the week. So, yeah, enjoy the couple hours of spring that you have ahead. Yeah, those Instapot. I know in the early days of the Coffee Break Net, we shared a heck of a lot of recipes, and Theta had shared one with us with the baby back ribs with a little bit of smoke, the extract, and you can be enjoying ribs, and the meat falls off the bones. I'm trying to remember what it is. I think it's a 15 or 18 minutes, and then you let it cool, and then you brush them over with some barbecue sauce, throw them in the broiler to crisp them up a little bit, and man, what a wonderful fast treat. But back to the music on your scooter. That makes people aware that you're there, and best music to make people aware of you being there is Def Jam.
Yeah, you can put on a bunch of stuff that'll cause attention. So yeah, I've got sound, and I also added some extra LED lights on it to be more visible. Because as we've discussed, when you're on a motorcycle, 90% of the people out there on the road they just don't see you. They're not aware. They haven't been trained to see you, and the other 10% are trying to hit you on purpose. Hi. Not so hi. All right, well, hey, I know we've probably got a list of folks that are going to want to get in, so I'm going to let that happen. Thank you, Brian, for being there. Really appreciate that. I'll have more news to come on the MicroFox. It's supposed to be coming soon. I enjoyed looking forward to that learning curve. So everybody out there in Coffee Break Net land, please have a wonderful day. Oh, happy belated birthday, K6DCL, Dave in Jamestown. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Everybody else out there, again, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Be blessed. KB6LUV, Field Love, 73, clear and listening.
Okay, one last thing before I let you go there, Brett. Which MicroFox did you order?
The MicroFox 2.
Very good. Yeah, the MicroFox 2 is the one that I ordered, and then I put a upgraded battery. I just use a 18650 in a side case. And man, that thing will run for hours and hours and hours. But even as it comes from the factory there, Bionics, it's still a great device, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. A little T-Hunt transmitter for anybody listening in by Bionics called the MicroFox, and these things you can remotely turn them on and off, remotely program them, and so they're very, very user-friendly. Brett, have a wonderful day. Good morning to Bonnie in Kansas, and we certainly enjoyed meeting her, and look forward to the next time she comes out and enjoys our wonderful California weather. KB6LUV AI 6US 73.
Thanks again, Brian. Deeply appreciate it. Yep, I will probably connect with you if I have any other questions about the MicroFox. I will be the Fox tender in August. Me and the wife will be doing that in August. So I look forward to the learning curve, doing a little practice, and then setting that stuff up for folks come August. Again, thanks for being there, Brian. Everybody else out there, have an amazing day. KB6LUV, you have left 73, clear and listening.
Yeah, so glad that so many people are giving fox hunting, being the fox tender, the people that hide the fox, a chance, because it is a lot of fun and quite challenging to figure out where the signals can be heard and not heard, and make it hard enough so people are challenged to find it, but don't make it so easy that people just drive right up to it. It's an interesting balance game. Clearing with KB6LUV, and good morning, Matt. I hope Matt is still in transit. Just dawned on me he was probably driving to work when he checked in. N6 MMS, Matt, are you still there? Bummer. We timed out Matt. Well, we'll catch him another morning. Good morning, K6PXL. Welcome. Well, that would have been Bill. He's down in Manteca, So Bill evidently had some other things happening this morning. So if you're still listening, Bill, you have a wonderful day ahead. All right, this brings us to Mark. Good morning, Mark. Wow, that was one line of weather that swept through the East Coast. Good morning, WB6BJN AI6US. Welcome.
Well, it hasn't quite swept through the East Coast. It slipped through the Mid-South where I live last night. But today is the day it's really going to cover the East Coast. The line of storms is actually going to the Carolinas. A lot of it has gone through part of the Carolinas and will go on to the Atlantic coast today. And in some of that area, we'll get the line that we got last night here in the Mid-South. And Chicago, which, the Midwest, and some of that area, Michigan, and all the way to Texas. In fact, we had a tornado that touched down here in Clarksville last night, and I guess Sarah was just telling me that it evidently the winds. One of our neighbors has a big tree, and it broke a big tree in half. There, go ahead.
Well, at least we did not awake this morning of reports of your shiny ruby slippers sticking out from underneath the house. So, sorry to hear that people have been hit with this. But yeah, I was just looking at anything East Coast to me is anything east of Tahoe. But yeah, definitely continuing on through, and it looks like they are predicting pretty severe weather predicted even outside of the tornadoes.
Yeah, it's all done here. It came through here last night. In fact, Sarah and I went to shelter. We listened to Ryan Hall. I heard you talking to Patrick about how, as a sighted person, he tracks this stuff, and of course, I track it partly with my Tempest, because when you see a jump in the number of lightning strikes, that's an indicator that supercell thunderstorms are, and the more they increase in lightning, and there was a lot of lightning. I had over 1,700 lightning strikes last night, and that's an indicator of tornadic thunderstorms. And the interesting thing is, Brian, is last night, as it was coming in, it was 73 degrees. And when it came through and the tornado touched down, and after that happened in the all clear, I went in and checked the temperature, and that was 45 minutes later, and it was down in the upper 40s. So that cold air came rushing in right behind it. And right now it is, and we'll talk about California here, 29.849 on the barometer and rising, and it is 33.3 degrees. I saw it went, and the temperature's been falling all morning. It was down to 32.9 just a few minutes ago, and the airport was reporting light snow. So we went from 77 high of yesterday to 32.9 this morning, and it was snowing a few minutes ago. How about that?
Well, you moved away from boring Northern California weather into something that gives you something to definitely keep you on your toes. Yeah, I know that probably Sarah is, when she's around, is a good part of your early warning system as well. And that's, of course, the bad thing. Once you go into the nighttime hours, it other than like the lightning, like you said, coming through, there is, just kind of that awareness of these things popping up out of the dark. So that's when we all become pretty pretty equal in the awareness. But we have so many tools available to us. Yeah, the interesting thing is you mentioned last evening 1,700 lightning strikes, but as I recall last year, even on a regular day, man, you have quite a few lightning strikes. It's probably just the proximity and the period of time that these happen in, right?
It depends on the strength of the thunderstorms. Yeah, there were thunderstorms last year that were not really even tornadic that produced a couple of thousand lightning strikes. It's not uncommon to get a couple of thousand lightning strikes out of a thunderstorm. There was some of these guys who were reporting even close to 10,000 lightning strikes. My buddy in Kansas has had that happen, and how that happens is you can have multiple flashes in a particular strike, 3 or 4, and those add up as actual, almost like separate lightning flashes within a major flash itself. So they add up very quickly. So, yeah, we get a lot of thunderstorms back here. And let's see, your heat in California, I'm glad I'm here. Believe it or not, I can put enough on to stay warm, but I cannot take enough off to stay cool when it gets hot. And it's crazy what's happening out there in March, but it's part of the same pattern. We're getting record-breaking cold. You guys are getting record-breaking heat. And is it connected? Absolutely. The flip-around pattern, it'll be interesting to see if it flips again, what's going to happen. What will happen is that the high-pressure area is coming on shore for California right now, and it's going to produce some unbelievable heat. Let me take a break. Unbelievable heat in California. Pinnacles, if you know where Pinnacles is along, I guess that's on the Monterey coast, the upper areas of Monterey, could be over 100 for the first time ever in the month of March. It could happen this week. And some of those areas where you get downsloping flow, even San Francisco's could be in the 90s this week. That's hot in the middle of August, let alone March. And what makes this particularly bad is the body is not used to hot weather yet. And so you bring this on now, and they're saying, hey, throw your record books out the window because records will be smashed this week in California. Places in Southern California could be over 100 this week. Places in Northern California could be close, if not over. Bakersfield could be hell, as we called it, could be over 100 this week. So, and then it might cool off this weekend as that high pressure is going to reposition itself over the southwest. Let me take another break.
Good morning. The time is 9 a.m. Weather.
And as it does so, then it starts to move eastward. Well, that means our cold weather ends, okay? And that's okay because it's going to get nice back here. Right now, we're having temperatures. I'll probably tomorrow morning it'll be about 20 degrees here, 20, 22 degrees. And then by Wednesday, tomorrow might get up to 40. May not even get out of the 30s today here. And much of the Midwest will have kind of almost like blizzard conditions. Yep, Daniel's right. It's snowing, and they could get some more snow. Parts of Michigan could get some more snow. It's even snowed a little bit here in Tennessee. And then by middle of the week, what happens is that high starts to crawl eastward. It really just kind of expands. So it stays hot in California, but it starts to warm up back here. And there's some places that are cold right now, like Kansas is in the teens right now. But I read the discussion this morning that said places in Kansas could be over 90. And places in Oklahoma could be over 90 by the end of the week. And it's going to be sunny and drier. So I'll get to maybe sit in the sun Thursday or Friday outside. That'll be nice there. Brian, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, yes, you just keep taking layers of clothing off, but at some point the neighbors start objecting. Well, yeah, we're certainly enjoying this quick introduction to summer. I'm still on the fence of, when I should plant the tomatoes. I'm going to hold off until this heat spell is over, but, something tells me we are going to have one more sprint at, if nothing else, when we've had early springtime and high temperatures like this, sometimes it leads to pretty significant damage by hailstorms in the next month or so. So something to be a lookout if you're going to be planting that garden early.
Absolutely. I will tell you this, and this I heard from the Climate Prediction Center, and I also heard it from another guy who talks about tornadoes where people can go on chase vacations for chasers and where to find the best tornadoes. And he says that we are going, the La Nina pattern, which has caused the pattern that we've had this winter, is dying rapidly. And we are now going to transition to El Nino. And for that reason, I say that it's going to be a very hot, usually with El Ninos, they're very hot in the summer. Because what happens as the ocean heats up, that keeps your marine layer, your nature's air conditioner along the coast from developing. Because the ocean waters get warmer. And for that reason, if we go into El Nino conditions over the summer, that's going to delete a lot of the marine layer that we would normally get along the coast because the water temperature is warmer. So that's the reason I think it's going to be hotter above normal, more so in California this summer there. Brian, go ahead.
Well, with all the, we had a pretty easy winter filled with a lot of moisture that fell in the foothills, not the snowpack that we need, but we certainly are having a very early weed and grass growth, which, we quickly turn on the heat, and it turns us into a tinderbox. So, yeah, I think, if you put the conditions right, we certainly are putting quite the nice potential for wildfires and wind-driven events. So hopefully that does not happen through the rest of the year, but we certainly are building up for a potential for that. Well, good morning to you, and good morning to Sarah. Hopefully this weather event is clearing you, and it doesn't do much more damage and events as it travels eastward, and hopefully we can get it swept out of there as soon as possible. But glad to hear you didn't put your winter onesie away yet.
We didn't do that, and because yesterday it was we went outside. Sarah and I went outside, and we brought my HF antenna down. And I told her it's warm. It's too warm, and we're going to get some severe weather. I said, and then it's going to get colder than a well digger's backside in a Klondike. And it did. It was so warm yesterday, it was unbelievable, and the winds were like 40, 45 miles an hour out of the south ahead of this thing. And with my experience with meteorology, that just, that alerted me right there. I don't like seeing warm temperatures and moist air this early with cold air back behind, because that's a bad combination for a severe weather outbreak back here. But we're fine, and we love it back here, and it's beyond us now because it's clearing. The good thing about El Nino coming is you might have another wet year. El Ninos tend to do that too, and hopefully you'll have a little cold air that'll mix in and give you the right type of snow next winter in Northern California. So, and then it'll also open the door for more wet weather for places like Florida. Florida is begging for rain. It's just super dry in Florida because of the La Nina. So a lot of us have had drought this year, even here, and hopefully that the El Nino will open the door for more wetter weather, and not so much severe weather, but more just good rain. I like a good thunderstorm that's not of supercellular variety. Back to you there, Brian, WB6BJ.
All right, Mark. Well, you have a wonderful Monday. Thanks for checking in this morning. Oh, and maybe you made a report over the weekend. I didn't hear it, but I know you were expecting the new 590S radio to arrive, and just wanted to see if that arrived, and is it in the condition you were hoping for?
Hey, it was a 590SG, not just an S. It was the SG, and we should know it. The weekend I want to really sit down and play radio. What happens? We get a big solar storm and nobody can hear me. But no, it's hooked up, and everybody says it sounds beautiful. I'm still learning that radio. It's a lot different than the 570. I'm going to keep the 570 as a backup radio, and then there's another 570 I got that a friend of mine wants. And I'm going to send it to him. He says I could use an extra radio, and I said, well, it doesn't work good. He says, that's okay. I'll find a way to get it fixed. So I said, okay. You check with your financial advisor, which is his wife. I said that's what I had to do with mine when I got the 590 SG. I said check with your financial advisor, and whatever you want to do, and I'll send it to you there. Go ahead.
Wow, that is awesome. An upgrade to what you were expecting to receive, and glad it's working well for you. Well, thanks, Mark. Looking forward to catching you on the air. And actually, in the evening last night, the conditions were very quiet. Signals were very weak, but 20 meters was open into Western Europe for hours last night, Western and Central. I worked more Russian stations last night on 20 meters than I probably have worked any single sitting in the past, and it was quite interesting. They were everything was minus, and I was on FT8, everything was minus 15 to minus 22, or thereabouts, so they were very weak, but it was so quiet that there was just absolutely no problem working them. But it was, I would say, probably got well over 30 Russian stations in about an hour and a half or so. It was kind of fun. Mark, have a wonderful day. Good morning to Sarah, and we will maybe catch you tomorrow morning. WB6BJN, AI6US.
Okay, Brian. Oh, artichokes. Okay, so you get out your pot, and you put your artichokes in with whatever you like, and you boil them up, And when you take them out, you throw them in the trash. So there you go. That's what you do with artichoke.
Well, you know, it's kind of a takeoff on my recipe. You cook them with bacon, and then you throw away the artichokes and enjoy the bacon. Have a great day, Mark. WB6BJN, AI6US73.
You can tell I'm not an artichoke eater. A lot of people love them. I just never took a liking to them. I'm kind of like Tom. Yeah, I was kind of on that cue of I forgot you to put your favorite stuff on them, and you get your and then take the artichoke and throw it away and eat the other stuff that you like. 7-3. I may not be there tomorrow, but I should be around Wednesday. Tomorrow I got to go get an ultrasound of my kidneys. I have something called vasculitis, which is an immune deficiency, rare disease, they think, and I'm going to have to go get a biopsy here in a week or two to find out too. But I don't feel bad, but they say that's what I have, so we want to nick it in the bud. So that's what's happening tomorrow. Talk to you later, Brian, WB6BJ.
Well, good luck with the continued diagnosis and treatment on that, and we certainly wish the best for you there, Mark. Yes, that kale recipe you were referencing, how to prepare kale with bacon. Have a great day. Clear with WB6BJN. This is AI6US and the Coffee Break Net, where the sun is always shining, the birds are singing, and the fish are jumping. Let's go ahead and do a round of quick in and outs, keeping our check-ins to under 2 minutes and to respect other people's time. So anybody out there would like a quick in and out as you start your day. Welcome to the Coffee Break Net.
W2VX.
Whiskey Bravo 6, Golf Uniform Yankee.
KO6TH, good morning.
See? All right, heard Greg in there, KO6TH, and good morning to Joel, WB6GUI, and good morning to Doug, W2VX. There was a station underneath there at the end, maybe ending in Z, Zebra.
KO6JBC.
All right, I'm going to have to get a phonetic on that. I think that was a KO6 Juliet Echo Charlie, or was that Sierra?
Kilo Oscar 6, Juliet Bravo Charlie.
Echo, Bravo, Charlie, Sierras, yes. I'm plagued with the same thing. That's why I use phonetics all the time with my call sign. Gotcha. KO6, Juliet Bravo Charlie. All right, up to the top. These are all quick in and outs. Good morning, Doug, W2VX. I know you were busy in the vault this weekend with the destruction hammer. Good morning.
Yeah, it was definitely demolish the old, celebrate the new. Hey, you know, Brian, I know that you have a very personal relationship with lightning, so I just wanted to give you a factoid about lightning, which I'm sure you will appreciate. And all ham radio operators should be appreciative of lightning, because we have lightning attractors on tops of our homes and our vehicles and all that. But there's 3 billion on average, 3 billion lightning strikes every year on planet Earth. And I believe, I'm not positive, but I believe that that's cloud to ground, not just cloud to cloud.
imagine being the person in charge of doing the counts. His thumb must be worn out on the little the little clicker. You know, and it was something that I was going to ask Mark, and I forgot during that conversation. I was kind of curious, when a lightning strike forks, does that secondary fork, or are those all counted as separate strikes? Maybe you know, Doug.
I am totally clueless. I do not know exactly what the official counting scheme is, but I just look at the number and say 3 billion. Somewhere in there, there's just a lot of activity going on. The Earth keeps rotating, and the lightning and the static just keeps happening.
Well, let's ask Mark. WB6BJN, are you still monitoring? I just wanted a clarification on what is a lightning strike.
Well, I've seen lightning strikes where there's one flash, evidently, and it counts as one. Now, I'm judging this by the Tempest, and then what Sarah has told me. And when she says, "Oh, there were 3 lightning happened, there were like 3 in a row," then it comes up as and yes, the forks count as an extra flash, or sometimes the way they look, but you can get single flashes and then several flashes within a stroke. You know, you get one stroke and then flash, and those count as separate. If you get 2 quick flashes, that's plus the main one, that's 3. That counts as 3 strokes.
All right, thanks for the clarification there. So, Doug, that 3 billion lightning strikes could be a whole lot of forks on there. I know when you go out in the neighborhood and flash, there's a lot of reports.
You know, I don't want to be a bad guy, but, you know, the longer the explanation, generally the less likely it is to be true. But anyway, so let's call it 2.5 to 3.5 billion flashes per year. We'll just kind of smudge it a little bit with our thumb. Oh, and the other thing is that I want to say to N7MUF, you know what? Just keep automating, keep that brain active, because you know what? Keep it active, even though you think you're spending more time solving issues than it would be to actually benefit from all the effort to automate. It keeps your brain sharp. And you know what? Once it's dull, you're done.
Oh, were you throwing it back to me there, Doug?
Teresa and I are going to jump on our bicycles, and we're going to go for a little ride because it is gorgeous outside, and I think there's probably about a 0% chance of lightning flashes today, so I feel safe.
Well, I don't feel as special as I used to feel there, Doug. I was only one of 3 billion lightning strikes that happened that year. Oh, so much for feeling special. Well, you and Teresa have a wonderful ride into the confluence or along the trails there, and yeah, better watch out. You're going to get healthier and healthier the older you get.
Boy, you know, wish wonderful things on me.
All right, Joel. Yes, indeed. It's interesting because I was really expecting a lot of folks to come back and say,
"Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everyone. Greg, KO6CH. You know, we have these conversations. You went towards the heart. They were okay, but she didn't cut off enough of my upbringing on artichoke. So anyway, that